Hey there, emerging expat. You're tuned in to Let's Move to Portugal. I'm Victoria from Expats Everywhere's podcast, and I have the distinct honor of bringing you, YouTube travelers, and our resident of Portugal experts, Expats Everywhere's Josh and Kalie. Each week they'll inspire, they'll educate, and they'll accompany you on your journey to Portuguese residency. This week on Let's Move to Portugal.
In this season finale, Josh and Kalie reflect on a year filled with travel, cultural adventures, and personal growth from Europe to Southeast Asia.
Hey expats and travelers alike, welcome back to the Expats Everywhere presents Let's Move to Portugal podcast. Kalie, how you doing?
I'm doing well, rounding out the season, and it's holiday time, so that's always fun. Porto's lit up, and always fun to walk around and see the buzz of the city. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and I can't wait to fill you in on what is happening with this podcast, as we're going to take this time to just kind of let the podcast breathe a little bit and talk a little bit about our personal story over the past year, what we've been up to, and fill you in on that stuff in one like tidy little podcast episode.
Tidy.
Yeah,
we'll see.
No, tidy in the sense that like we're kind of recapping everything that's happened throughout the year. And in this podcast, we typically start out with a quick intro from Victoria, who's our producer, and we'll be introducing her to you at the beginning of season 4 when we come back in January. And then we move into the weekly welcome. And the weekly welcome, we give you an indication in 5 to 10 minutes of what has been going on during that week and what's been going on in our lives. And then we get into the topic of the podcast episode, which is usually an interview. Every now and then we do kind of a review of a trip that we've taken and make comparisons between that place and Portugal. But in this episode, we're really going to dial in on what we've been up to this year. And I think my goal is for you as a listener to get a sense of what is possible travel-wise when you're living here in Portugal or in Europe in general, really. But get a sense of what's possible travel-wise, maybe an indication of cost. I mean, we're not going to dive too much into cost, but just knowing how often you can travel kind of on a moderate budget. We're definitely not ballers.
We like to call ourselves ballers on a budget.
Ballers on a budget. Yeah, I mean,
there's some hacks, I guess, to it, but
exactly. We
we
like to look for cheap flights. We travel when there's cheap flights, cheap hotels. I mean, that was like our most recent trip to Toulouse, which we'll get to towards the end of this because we're going to start with January 1st.
January 1st, which we were in San Marino, which seems a little odd.
Nah.
But Josh
Backstory.
and I have done a lot of Europe, and so we're kind of hitting up the smaller places that aren't as common. So if you've noticed this past year or the past couple years, we've gone to like Luxembourg and Andorra, Gibraltar, like some of these smaller places to explore since we've have a lot of experience since we used to live in Europe a long time ago. And we've been here for now 4 years. We have a lot of experience traveling around Europe. And then also showing Sia, our daughter, a 4-year-old daughter, different places. So I think, so we were in Italy for a bit. And then obviously it's easy when you're in the northern part of Italy to drive into San Marino, and we wanted to check it out. It's a small country. And we had a car, so that was good. Definitely necessary if you're going to do San Marino. It's better with a car, but they have a beautiful old city. And we rang in the new year there with fireworks, and they had a DJ out in the square. It was cold and kind of rainy.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the most ideal conditions to, not only just be there on a holiday, but also film.
Oh yeah, filming was really difficult. Well, because it was dark and
we didn't actually make a city guide or a country guide for San Marino.
No.
Listener, if you're interested, if you're listening to this on one of the podcast platforms or watching this on YouTube, drop us a comment whether you would like to see a country guide of San Marino. Now, the reason I say this or ask you is because there's just not a whole lot of search volume that's happening about San Marino.
Yeah.
So we don't want to like waste our time, energy, and effort, because basically all of our videos take around the same amount of time, energy, and effort to produce. And that's why like really granular topics, we just can't afford to do anymore, because we spend so much time creating a video during the week that if we do it for a video that might get like 2,000 views, Oh, it hurts. It hurts the soul.
It's a little harder, but I mean, I don't know how many people are actually looking to move to San Marino as opposed to visit there. So I'm guessing there are travel things out there, some travel videos, but it's worth a visit for sure.
It's definitely worth a visit, especially if you're like collecting stamps, if you will. I do that like with air quotes. If you're collecting stamps of different of different countries in your passport, but it's tricky to get there is the thing. Like, we were in a small Italian city called Rimini, and actually a friend of ours who's British that has traveled really all over the world. He said that it's Italy's Miami. I mean, It's like, I mean, he said that kind of tongue in cheek. Like, they want to be known, Rimini, they want to be known as like Italy's Miami. Now, since we were there in the winter, we didn't see that at all.
No, I mean,
it was cold.
It's along the beach, but I would say it's more like Miami's like Daytona Beach or something. You know what I mean?
It's not even as interesting as Daytona Beach, really.
I would say it's smaller. It was cute
though.
Well,
okay.
Like
the old city was nice.
Yeah. I mean, it was worth, I think that's a place, Rimini's a place that would be a summer feel and a winter feel are very different. The summer feel is the beach. That's what you're doing. There's a bunch of hotels, a big like area to walk along the beach. But then the old town was set up with Christmas markets and lights and old architecture and everything. So two different feels for the different seasons.
Yeah. So after we kind of brought in the new year in San Marino and had Valencia, catch another country on in her passport. We spent a few more days in Italy, and then we traveled back. And really the next milestone event was we started demolition on our property in February. And we've been putting videos onto our channel, Let's Get Building, which as of like right now, this recording, we've had to hide the channel for reasons that we'll get to in a future episode. A little bit of drama. The project's going on, but behind the scenes drama. So we started the demolition of that project, and we quickly found that there was asbestos, and we had to apply for a certificate to get a safe removal of the asbestos. So all of that got done. But the demolition did start in February. So almost a year ago.
Yeah, but it's moving right along. I mean, at first there was a lot of like paperwork and licensing things we had to do like for the asbestos, which they knew they were going to come across. So they were kind of ready for it, but still it doesn't mean that when you're ready for it and you're ready to apply for the license, it doesn't mean that things move fast here once you have it. So our team has been really good, but obviously there's just been some slow bureaucracy stuff. Story of our lives. Everyone in Portugal, right? Bureaucracy.
Absolutely.
Fun. Okay, but that's off and running, and we'll get to that a little later because that's still the beginning of 2024.
Yeah, and then soon after, we actually had a really cool kind of cultural experience where our landlord decided to take us on like a walk down memory lane for him, where we visited a bunch of his, I don't want to say ancestral properties, but I guess it kind of is. Like, he has different properties that his family has left him over the years, and we traveled to a few different places. This is northern Portugal, quite interior as well. So we hopped in his car, the 5 of us. Yeah.
No,
6?
No, we did 2 cars.
2 cars.
Yeah.
Right, 2 cars. Yeah.
His wife and
his daughter
were in one car. And then me, Josh, Sia, and Antonio, our landlord, were in the other car. If you get car sick, the Doro Valley is not for you. Sia gets car sick. So that's fun.
Which we discovered on a Doro Valley trip.
Yeah, a couple before. And we told Antonio, and I could see it coming. She was like, my tummy hurts. And I was like, Antonio, you better pull over, or she's throwing up in your car. So yeah, just be careful with that. If you do get motion sickness, you'll feel it for sure in the Doro Valley. And then thankfully at one point she fell asleep. So that's easier to take those windy streets, windy roads when she was asleep. But yeah, that was really interesting to see. It was very kind of them to show us the different things. And we had like a meal at a restaurant that they really like when they go out there. Very traditional, and it was yummy.
Oh, I didn't tell you this. So I was at a project site meeting, a job site meeting, and me and George, who's the on-site engineer, we predominantly speak Portuguese. He does most of the speaking, let's be honest. I do a lot of listening, just because my ability to construct sentences isn't quite there. But he mentioned a vocabulary word that we learned about on this trip with Antonio and at this restaurant that Kalie was referring to. Do you remember the word javali?
No.
Do you remember it getting used?
No.
All right, we talked about it a bunch, and it's wild boar.
Oh, okay.
Or boar. I think boar is wild. Otherwise, it's a pig. Right? Is that the domesticated name or whatever it is? A hog. So anyways, George was basically saying that that he likes to hunt and he will hunt for javali. And I was like, wait, I know that word. And then it clicked with me, and it took me back actually to the restaurant. And I was like, I've had javali. So
good for you for remembering that.
I know, right?
Jeez, that was 10 months ago by now.
I can't remember things that you tell me 5 minutes later.
That's true.
But I can remember my long-term memory.
That's because you're not actually listening to me. I know what that's about.
That's true.
Okay, let's keep this rolling.
Yeah. So later, actually like a week later, we ended up at Fino Golf Club for our first meetup of the year.
Yeah.
So we like to host, what would you call it? Like
open meetups. What I call them.
We have open meetups, and we also have patron-only meetups where we have like our Patreon community, since a lot of patrons have now moved to Portugal. So there's enough to kind of host an event, and it feels like an event. But we had an open meetup, first one at Fino Golf Club in Matosinhos. It was the first time hosting a meetup in Matosinhos.
Yeah, normally we do it in Porto.
Or
Lisbon, wherever we
or
are.
wherever
we are.
But we did this one in Matosinhos. And if you, listener, remember, we had Tam, one of the owners of Fino Golf Club, on the podcast where, you know, he actually just discussed kind of the food and beverage scene at large in greater Porto area. But Fino Golf Club has been going well. They're now the principal sponsor of or sponsor pub of Arsenal Portugal, another group that we're a part of that we just joined this year. So super cool.
Yeah. So we won't mention all of the meetups that we had because they kind of come and go, and
mention a few.
Yeah, it depends. Well, I'll just run through. I mean, mainly we collaborated with AFPOP on July 4th. We did that. That's our second year that we did that. So that's a fun one, which we get to eventually. But honestly, every meetup, we did like a special Halloween one where it was ticketed and stuff. But Josh was looking at me like, we'll get to that. But honestly, I don't think we need to mention every single meetup because
No, we don't. It's just I have it in the notes to get to.
Well, we can skip it now in the notes because we do open meetups and then we do ticketed ones and we have patron ones. So there.
Okay.
Meetups.
So
check.
in end of February, we took our first kind of trip after that holiday trip that we had. So we went to a new place for us in Spain, and it was a town that I had never heard of until I had started searching different warm weather, like kind of resorty getaways. And it's in a resort town near-ish Sevilla, near, I guess, Marbella, called Soto Grande.
An hour and a half? Maybe we flew into Sevilla because there's a direct flight from Porto, and then we rented a car and drove south. So it's all the way south to you hit the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
So that's a nice little place. I think you could go to escape the cold.
Yeah. It was a Sofitel, very reasonably priced, especially for it being a 5-star resort.
Yeah, it was like a full-on resort.
Now, maybe the downside is that not all the amenities were open because it's winter and it's off season. So that also contributes to the price. But very nice town. It was definitely warmer than it was here in Portugal, certainly northern Portugal. So it was a great little getaway where we did get to see Gibraltar as a new country for all of us. Gibraltar. Let's take a moment to mourn Gibraltar.
It could be so much better.
Dead.
So a really common thing to do is like when you're renting a car, you know, if you're going to cross borders, generally they'll ask you when you rent a car, like if you do it in Spain, and, you know, and you plan on like driving into France or Andorra, you generally have to pay a little more because of insurance. So when we rented, I said we were going to go to Gibraltar, and she said, well, you know, one common thing to do is there's a lot of like parking lots on the Spanish side, and you park and then you walk into Gibraltar. And then you don't have to pay the insurance and stuff. And I looked it up and I was like, yeah, this is actually something to do. So that's what we did. And it was quite easy. But one thing that's really cool is when you do walk across, Gibraltar has like this itty bitty landing strip and you actually walk across the landing strip. It's not used very often. And obviously if a plane is coming in, then it's closed off and you have to wait. But I think that's one thing that's really cool and unique that you don't get to do in many places. So you walk into the country across there.
Are you trying to hype
landing strip? No. And then I think for us, we felt like it could be so much more. It's a bit of a letdown.
Oh man. Oh man. Yes, I would agree with that. I think there are parts of Gibraltar that feel like real life. There's this other side of Gibraltar, which is mainly just a few roads, which feels a little Disney-fied, but not quite enough Disney-fied for it to be like actually nice.
Not polished enough for it to be Disney.
Nah, it's a bit weird.
It brings a lot of tourists in, I guess. But funny enough.
Well, the cruises bring a lot of tourists.
That's what I was going to say. We will give you a bit of a peek looking ahead in 2025, and we will be going on a cruise that stops in Gibraltar in 2025.
Which is a good thing in the sense that like one of the major tourist attractions of Gibraltar we didn't get to do because of inclement weather conditions, winds, I guess.
So you go up the mountain, and we had booked the cable car, but the wind was so bad that the cable car was not running, so we didn't end up going.
And apparently that's common, that gets canceled.
So this time around, we actually have booked just like a driver, because last time it was like we didn't have enough time to really then make a change and be able to see stuff. So we're like, okay.
No, we were there for
the day. Yeah,
like,
which is all you need.
We did not spend a night there or in, I can't even remember the name of the town that's just across
outside. No, we ended up driving back into Sevilla and staying a couple days in Sevilla instead. But really, that's all you need is a day. Or if you're stopping on a cruise, then it's fine too. But maybe to maximize stuff on a cruise, get some sort of like a little tour, whatever that might look like.
Yeah, no, I would say Sevilla that time of year, really nice. Still quite a bit of tourists. Yeah. Actually, it was still a lot. But the fact that it's not summer and scorch earth in Sevilla was really nice.
I actually think that's a better time to visit.
So.
It's like
I think so.
A little cool, not
it's
cold,
after the
not
holidays.
hot. Yeah, it gets really hot in Sevilla in the summer. So and a lot of people. So that just adds to it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's after Christmas holidays before you get to Semana Santa, which is also a big time
because that gets busy too. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. So then we started March 3rd. We started the month with a bang as we saw Porto at the Dragão dismantle Benfica 5-0 in a historic win. I have so many memories of that game as like it started out, we scored a goal and we took a selfie with our friend Michael, who was a season ticket holder with us. And then 2 happens and it's like, oh, we're laughing, we're jovial. And then it goes 3-0, and I put up the 3 fingers.
Listen, if you follow us on Instagram, you'll see every single goal. Cause I think Josh posted every single goal and I'm like, people are going to think you're like just all happy and drunk.
I wasn't.
And not at all.
I was just hydrated with water.
And just high on the Porto win scoring goals.
Great.
So that was a lot of fun.
When you smash your rival like that. Now, granted, they beat us this year, but it wasn't by as much.
No, it was pretty bad.
It was bad. Yeah, they're calling for the coach's head. But that's a different story. Okay, so we traveled again. So after that late February trip, we actually traveled again mid-March. So it was like 2 weeks later, we're back on the road again, and we head to London.
So we're like only a few months in, and we've traveled so much already.
Yeah. Well, it's because the middle of the year kind of dies off due to the Portuguese course that we ended up taking. But so we ended up going to London to film a bit. And then we also got to catch an Arsenal versus Porto match. So our 2 favorite clubs ended up playing each other. And we actually got tickets on the Porto side. Like we had a connection to get away tickets. So we're in, let's say, our home stadium, the stadium that
our number one
team.
And we're in the away section. So that was fun.
It was interesting. It was difficult actually because I was wanting Arsenal to progress. I didn't want Porto to get embarrassed. And I had to like act normal because I'm around diehard Porto fans.
It was and it was a close game too. So
super close.
But it was nice because we got to see what it looks like to be in the away section there. It wasn't that bad.
Not bad.
No, not bad, I would say.
It was the away fans that created a bit of a difficult atmosphere in terms of like the viewing experience.
Yeah.
Like most people had to stand on chairs, like stand on their seats.
I stood the whole time on a chair, else I wouldn't have been able to see.
I could, because of my height, I could stand and see kind of through people and over some people because they're short. But we didn't get to take our allocated seats. There were already people that were crammed in it. Just everybody was everywhere.
Yeah,
everybody was anywhere they wanted to stand, not even sit.
Yeah.
A guard said, actually, he's like, this is the craziest away fans I have seen.
Which
all
I
year.
think is kind of weird because I didn't think that they were that crazy. Crazy in what sense? I mean, chanting and stuff, but like...
Nah, we were pretty loud, and I don't think Portuguese fans are used to being able to drink in the stadium, because you can't do that here in Portugal. There are no beer concessions.
Well, they have the non-alcoholic.
They have non-alcoholic, but yeah.
But then, so in England, at least at Arsenal, you can't take it into your seat. Yeah, by your seat, but you can drink like out at the concession, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's still in the stadium. I don't know. I just feel like but I didn't feel aggressive to me. I would say
no, but that's not a part of being crazy.
No, but I don't know. I didn't think it was that crazy. I feel like I've been around crazier fans. But anyway, it was a fun experience, and then Arsenal ended up winning on penalties. So
it was exciting. All right, so end of March, actually, Kalie started her Malo Clinic journey that she has been documenting in various forms. So
along the way.
If you want to explain that real quick.
I mean, I think that I've talked about it a lot, so I won't go into too much detail, but pretty much I chipped a tooth found out from Malo Clinic that I chipped my tooth with my other tooth.
Allow my tooth to chip my other tooth.
Pretty much I had braces as a kid, but they've shifted, and so I was kind of already looking into some sort of Invisalign because of this one on top that has shifted, but the bottom kind of one is poking up, and that's what ended up chipping the tooth. So with that, I started this journey to do Invisalign, but before that, I have a click in my jaw. Actually, it's practically gone. I've got really good news. I guess I can wait till the December part of this, but I have a click in my
I hope you
jaw.
don't get Invisalign because it's expensive. There's that other one, Spark.
Spark is the other one, which is actually really common here. I might end up going with that one because it is a little more affordable. I think Invisalign was like the first one. I think Invisalign was the first one, so it's like the brand name one,
Right.
But Spark is another one that does the same thing, but
it's like Xerox or Kleenex. It's like you're talking about a photocopy or tissue.
It's true, but no one says that. So I think it's easier to just say like Invisalign, and people will know what you're talking about. Instead of saying Spark, or what would we call them? Clear retainer braces or something. I don't even know what the technical term
I don't know what the technical term is either.
See, that's why people say Kleenex. They don't know it's
a tissue.
Okay, anyway, so long story short, I started that in March. I've had this bottom retainer in for a while now, which has just been correcting my jaw. And then the next step will be the Spark or Invisalign to start straightening the teeth, working in tandem with making sure my jaw is in the right place while we straighten my teeth. So I've been very impressed with them and how it works. The technology is pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was March.
Yeah. Well, at the end of March, also, we started demolition again after the asbestos was removed. So I wanted to kind of keep that timeline going because we have a few milestones that we hit with the building project that I think are important because it'll give you a clue of kind of how that's going on. So then April 25th, I'm going to give you the exact date because we co-hosted an event with AFPOP on Portuguese Freedom Day, which is cool because the year before we co-hosted an event for American Independence Day, right? So July 4th, 2023, we did that. So this one was April 25th, and it was at Cafe Ceuta.
Which is like a historic cafe.
The cafe is nice. I would recommend going. Hosting an event there, I don't know. It's
the bottom place. Well, that's the thing is there's a really big space in the bottom, which was great because there were a lot of us, but it was really loud. I think
voices carried.
The way the walls were, and I guess at the higher ceilings or something, it just really echoed around and stuff. So some people I think ended up like, okay, I have to leave. Ears. Yeah, or at least go upstairs and just like grab a meal or something because it got really loud in there. So maybe for less people, it's better.
Yeah, exactly. Milestone date, April 30th, the crane went up on the job site. And that was a huge day because the crane really gets a lot of stuff done on the project site. It moves all sorts of things and allows bigger jobs to be done. So that was awesome.
It's cool to see. Yeah. And at that time, too, there was another crane that was near us. So you had the two of those going. But I think that crane's done now, right? The one that was
the other one.
Yeah, not ours. Ours is still there, but now there's not.
Exactly.
Lots of cranes in the city right now.
So now we've come to mid-May, and I'm not exactly sure how to talk about this. I want to be careful how we discuss this because we started to notice there being a little more anti-immigrant, anti-foreigner sentiment. I would say not just in Porto, but there were targeted incidences in Porto. Now, they were targeting specific nationalities, which maybe led to us being not as scared or concerned. However, it was a bit weird. It was a bit like, that's disappointing. Now, come to find out, it was this group that is known for kind of their shenanigans called 1143. And
they're kind of like a gang, right?
Yeah, they're a gang.
But
they
it's not as
started. They started
extreme.
out, I believe, as like a football claque, a football group, supporters group. But anyway, so they started causing some issues, and I think that started to concern some people in the community.
Yeah, because that obviously hit the mainstream media, and it was, talked about they were targeting foreigners or immigrants. And while that is true, it wasn't really Americans, Canadians, Brits, not even a lot of European, right? So it was certain nationalities that really clashed culturally with the Portuguese. And it kind of came to a head because it seemed like there were a lot of people who were moving, who weren't integrating in the culture, who were trying to almost not impose their culture on everyone else, but not changing to be more respectful of the Portuguese culture. And I think that there were Portuguese people who were fed up with it. And so, well, then I guess 1143 felt like they need to take into their own hands. But I feel like that was all very short.
I was going to mention that. It all kind of came and went in a really tight space of time.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe like 6 weeks. It was like some incidences happened, and then things seemed to be calm again.
So I don't know if ultimately if the government got involved somehow or what happened. We don't really know what was happening like behind the scenes, but it happened all very fast. And then it really subsided after, like you said, maybe 6 weeks or so.
Yeah. Okay. Then we headed at the end of May. We headed to Chaves to film, to do a video on like a city guide, basically.
Cute little town.
What a town!
Yeah,
loved it.
It's one of those towns where it's small but has a lot going on because of its location to the Spanish border, and then it's starting the route, right? So there's a lot of like.
What route?
The one that goes all the way down. What's it called? It goes all the way down to
N2.
Yeah. All the way down to Faro. It finishes down there.
Yeah.
And so people come
National
on bicycles, motorcycles. Some people run, but not the whole thing, obviously. So it's got a lot going on in that sense. So even though it's small, it seemed like it had a really good buzz of people.
Yes, and I think the amount of free things that they have on offer was pretty incredible, like different museums and stuff
that you could do.
Yeah,
and they're known for the thermal spa there as well. So
that's not free.
That's not free, no. But very nice.
Yeah, you could do that as a weekend trip. I think if you're living mainly anywhere in the north, certainly that has bus routes, or if you have a car, if you rent a car, no problem.
Yeah, weekend for sure. You could definitely 2 nights max, really, because it is small.
Yeah.
But it could be relaxing.
Yeah, for sure. First week of June, we have Kalie's best friend, her bestie, visit from Singapore.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So my friend Trisha, who we met in Singapore when we lived there back, we moved there in 2015.
That sounds right.
2015.
Yeah.
So she and I have been friends since then. She had never been to Portugal. And so we met her a couple years ago, kind of in Germany. Yeah. When it was kind of Singapore was really strict with their travel stuff with COVID. But at one point around Christmas time, a few years ago, they opened up this portal almost, you could say. So
2021.
Yeah. So she was allowed to go to Germany without having to do quarantine when she came back.
Yeah.
So we met her in Germany. So that was cool to at least be able to see her. But now obviously we're past all that. And she's like, I've never been to Portugal. So she came to visit and we did the Douro. We checked out all around Porto. And then she headed down to Lisbon to meet a friend there for a couple days. And then they traveled more of Europe.
And she said that she loved Porto.
She liked Porto more than Lisbon.
Yeah.
So that was good to see her.
I don't want to stick my chest out about Porto, but it is a great city.
Like a proud father.
So mid-June, we take our first proper trip to Chaves, which is, what would you call it? Like a village town in the national park. Yeah. The national park of Chaves.
Well, there's different. Yeah, Chaves is like the national park.
Yeah.
But then there's little towns.
Which we've driven through, but we've never actually stayed overnight and done kind of everything that Gibraltar has to offer.
Right, which we did, and you can hike. The views are beautiful. There's lakes.
I've got some footage of Gibraltar that I haven't actually done anything with, that I'm hoping that next year I'll put together some sort of vlog. It's that when we do our vlogs, they don't typically do very well. And as I was saying in the beginning, it's like if I'm going to put the time, energy, and effort into making a video, I want it to do well.
Yeah.
So.
But Gibraltar is very beautiful, a great place, like relaxing, to get, green and have a good time there. Oh, I will say that was the first time we rented a completely like EV, electric vehicle.
We didn't have range anxiety, really.
We kind of did, because it's like you're going into like a national park, but
we didn't. Matthew did.
Oh, we had a friend that we met there, and his was intense. His
range anxiety was real.
Way too much.
Now, I will say, in his defense, his car was a couple years older, so the battery's capacity wasn't as good as ours.
Yes.
So like his percentage dropped much faster.
Yeah.
And you get a bit nervous when it does that.
But I mean, where we stayed, it was this little town, and they had these public chargers, which was amazing. And so here's what kind of blew my mind. When we rented it, the lady was like, when you return it, the battery can be like on empty. You don't have to like fill the battery up the same way that you do when you use gas and whatever it's at. If it's a full tank or half a tank, you have to return it however you pick it up, or else you pay and they give you a terrible rate. So I was like, that's amazing. So it was on a full battery when we picked it up. We charged once over the weekend. We were there for a couple nights. We charged once over the weekend, and I think only got to like 80-something%. Didn't even charge it all the way. And then we drove back to Porto, and overall it cost us like €4. Not even kidding, to charge it the one time, and not even full battery. And then we dropped it off practically on empty, and we're good. Cheap. I know. I was like, this is amazing. So if you can get past the range anxiety thing, and if you're not going very far is the other thing. Because one time
you wouldn't want to take it from Porto to Algarve.
Which, okay, so that being said, we have some Portuguese friends who I talked about, who I talked with them about this, because they have a completely EV, and they have 2 young girls. So what they do, like they did that for a trip once, but like halfway through they had to stop for a couple hours. So they just have to time it for like lunch. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if you time it and you think it through, you just have to stop for a little bit.
Yeah. I just don't know if I would want to be stopping for 2 to 3 hours.
No, I don't like that.
A bit inefficient.
We are the same in the sense, like when we're going somewhere, we want to get there.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have to stop. But anyway, so depending on where we're going, the EV is a good option, I'd say. €4.
Well, it's definitely cheaper.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My highlight of the year, I didn't actually ask you to like choose a highlight, but my highlight of the year, and you can think of one if you want.
I guess I better think of one now.
Was São João this year. I loved it. It was a deeper cultural experience than our past São Joãos. Actually, can you explain what São João is?
It's like the biggest. It's in the north, like the biggest
it's in
Portuguese festival, St. John's Festival, I guess you would say. It's Porto's
São João.
Yeah, but everywhere around,
other
towns celebrate São João. Not everywhere in Portugal does, because like in Lisbon, they've got like Santo Antonio and stuff. Yeah. Some other places do, but it is from Porto, so it is like the biggest festival holiday of I think the year.
Yeah.
And
I think so.
It's a really big one. There's fireworks, you light lanterns, there's live music all around.
Hit people with hammers, plastic, not metal.
You can hit them with garlic as well. That's an older one.
Garlic.
So, I mean, it stems from a religious holiday like St. John's. I think you're getting this evil spirits out, really, right? Is what garlic is and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
That's where it stems from.
No vampires.
But it is, no.
Okay, so the reason why this one was so special is because we were contacted by, and this is not uncommon, but we were contacted by several friends to basically celebrate with. And it just so happened that it lined up like that we would have things going on all day. And all of our friends were Portuguese.
Yeah.
So in years past, we've made plans with our foreign friends,
Yeah, we've mainly just like gone to the streets and wandered around Porto and gone to the river and stuff in the past.
Yeah, but this year we've made enough Portuguese friends where they just all kind of reached out, which was a blessing. So we met up with João and and his wife and family. Madalena, yeah. But they live on the Gaia side, and we're hosting an event with their friends during the daytime where they have a pool and everything, and you can start grilling out. Then we transitioned, and this was kind of tricky because we had to get across the bridge during Saint João.
We had to make sure we were back before everything else closed up.
Fortunately, there was someone at João's party that could take us across the bridge and just drop us off where
they were going to another party.
Exactly.
That's what you do.
Where we were picked up in, like, let's say the late afternoon, early evening for Antonio, who's our landlord, for his house party. So we did his house party for a couple of hours
because they do sardines. They grill sardines there, which is really, really typical. So you can buy them, but it was fun to do it at a house party.
And that was the big talk. It was like, how are the sardines? The sardines weren't, we didn't say this, but they were talking about it. The sardines weren't as good as last year's crop catch.
Yeah.
So that was humorous to me.
I don't even really like them, actually. They're too much work.
Kalie doesn't really know how to eat them.
They're too much work. I don't need the bones and stuff. But I'm not a huge. But I'm not a huge fish eater.
You're not.
So
yeah,
I had one, and I had Josh take it apart for me because I'm not interested in all the picky stuff and everything.
The food was incredible, and honestly, if our Saint João festivities kind of ended then, and we watched the fireworks from our window, I would have been cool. However, we would have missed then the late night kind of party. We were invited by our hairdressers, our barbers.
Yeah.
I have a barber. You've got a stylist. Is that how we?
She cuts my hair. I don't know. It's a couple who's around our age, and we've been going to them for years for our hair. Yeah. They have a daughter around Sia's age.
Yeah.
And we live near each other. Yeah.
Shout out Tiago, Christina, and we basically met for our old neighborhoods.
Yeah. Party. They put up a stage and
party.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Didn't have to drink too much to have a great time. Well, didn't have to drink at all to have a great time, but we didn't drink that much. Had a great time.
I actually got asked at Antonio's. There were a lot of people there, and there was an older guy, and he asked me why I wasn't drinking more.
Did he?
He did. And I'm pacing myself because we started early with the pool party. So
yeah,
pacing myself. But yeah, I thought that was really funny.
It was super funny. Okay, so that was kind of towards the end of June, the beginning of July. We had some visitors again from Asia. So I had a student when I was teaching in Singapore that was from China, and I befriended him and his mom, and they came to visit, and we showed him around. So Matt and Lena visited. Awesome time. It was a quick trip, but it was amazing seeing that kid. He's grown up so much.
Oh man, yeah. He used to be a little boy.
Now he's a young man.
And he's very tall, much taller than me. That's, I think, what seems to happen is, along the way when there's been kids of friends and stuff, and they're so little, and then it doesn't take them long to get taller than me.
Yeah. Now, during this time was probably one of the lows of the year, which was we were in the middle of the Euros, which is a major soccer tournament that happens every 4 years, 2 years off of when World Cups happen. And Portugal was in it. They were looking good. And then at the beginning of July, they got eliminated from the tournament. So that was a bummer. Sad day. Yeah.
Yeah. It's always fun though when they're doing country tournaments to get out into the bars and hang out with people and watch the games. But it is always sad when they're eliminated.
Yeah,
so that does happen.
And if you have been following us on Instagram or Facebook, where we can post things a little faster than what we do on YouTube, you probably noticed that we were in Vila do Conde a lot during kind of June and July. We took several trips there to film. We put out several pieces of content, and really had a great time discovering Vila do Conde as a city in the north on the metro line of Greater Porto. So shout out to Vila do Conde. It's a nice place.
Yeah. And so we were at this point too, we already had started our online Portuguese lessons to get our certification for citizenship, because next year we can apply for citizenship. So we had toyed around with should we take a class in person? Should we just study ourselves and take the government test? And then we ended up doing this program. So it's a really great program, completely remote, pricey, but when you break it down by hour, it was totally worth it. And we could take it on the road with us. But we decided we didn't want to go anywhere like new or a place where we'd be out, exploring cities a lot more, because it'd be really difficult, because we were doing it for 2 hours, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So this is why we've hit summertime, and we've gone to some more familiar places that we've been to, or some more like relaxing type locations.
Yeah. Well, we basically didn't travel for those several months. We made one quick trip. So August 7th, another major milestone on our job site, and it was day one of pouring concrete. I've edited that video for the channel Let's Get Building, so that's going to come out soon. And then a few days later, August 10th, I want to give a big shout out to Cafe Passport. It was their first year anniversary. Over the course of the year, we've made friends with Gabe and Emily, the two people. Well, Emily owns the cafe, and then Gabe is her partner that also plays a major role in the cafe and the cafe's success. So big shout out to them. They have amazing bagels in Porto, which I believe is like the only place that I've seen. It's the only place that I've seen, but I believe they're the only ones that actually make like American style bagels.
Yeah. And fresh every day.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the midst of our traveling, or well, I should say in the midst of our course, we did take a trip to London to see the home opener of Arsenal versus the Wolves. And something cool that happened for me is I got to see two people from my university that just so happened to be passing through London at the same time. I didn't go to a big school. When I was going there, I think the enrollment was like 750.
Whoa, was it?
Yeah.
That is small, yeah.
Yeah, it was 750. But basically my university mentor was passing through and saw that I was there. So Ben Cherry, you're my guy. So I saw that he was going to be there. He reached out. We got to meet up and have a meal with him. And then a guy that I didn't actually cross paths with at university, but we played for the university soccer team. He also hit me up because he was going to be at the game. Mm-hmm. So we got to finally meet up in person. We've been in the same like WhatsApp groups. So it was cool to kind of finally meet him in person.
Yeah. And you'll find that we're in London a lot. For one, obviously, when you're in Europe, it's so easy to pop around to different places. But so we go to London a lot for a few reasons. We love the city, for one, but then we also have friends there that there's one friend in particular, Rachel, who her daughter Maya, Sia and Maya are besties. They used to live here, and then they went back to London. She's half British, half American, so she's been in London. So we can always see them when we go, and then of course we go to see Arsenal. So you'll see that we do quick trips a lot to London.
And when it's off season or when you book in advance, you can catch flights for like $50 round trip.
Yeah,
whether that be USD or Euro bucks.
Yeah, I mean, EasyJet and Ryanair, especially if you're doing a quick trip and you just take a small backpack, so you don't have to pay extra for any sort of bag. It's
which is
very
what we
easy.
do.
Yeah, it's very easy.
Yeah, so that was that. So we don't often have to pay for hotels.
Yeah, because we stay with a friend. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
helpful.
Pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Now, getting a beer in a pub or a meal, that can get pricey.
But you know what I like? We can go there and have some types of ethnic food that are either hard to find here, hard to find good ones here, or are more expensive or the same price anyway, but you don't get as good of quality.
Facts.
So I do like going to London for the food.
Facts.
Not for the English food. I'll say that.
You said it, not me. Okay, so after London, we spent 2 weeks in Cascais, and you've probably noticed that we've been talking a bit more about Cascais over the past maybe 2 months on the channel. It's because we're finally getting that content out that we shot in August. We did get out we had a quicker turnaround on a podcast episode with John McNerney, where we were able to film in a studio in Lisbon. And that was a great find from him. Mm-hmm. Really nice chat about the basically like finances, like expat finances 101 or expat finances for dummies.
Yeah, but not like the specifics of it. It was nice because for me, I'm not really interested in finances, but the way we talked about it made sense. It was more of not like what stock should I invest in or whatever like that. It was kind of like, how can I set myself up financially? So in 10 years, if my goal is in 10 years, I don't want to be working anymore. What do I need to do now to make that happen?
Yeah.
And so I found that was interesting. Or what do I need to do to make sure that our daughter is taken care of? And so that it was more of a conversation like that, which I like that's how like the angle that he takes with his clients. So it was good. And then being in Cascais was really easy because we were with friends who have kids. So we were able to do our online course there.
I was going to mention that. Online course,
Sia had someone to play with the whole time we were doing. They had all sorts of things going on. So we had been to Cascais before, but it had been 3 years. So it was nice to see it again in a different light, I guess.
Absolutely. I was definitely going to mention the course because the flexibility of the course did allow us to then be able to do it while there, and it was super easy.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the summer travels. It wasn't a whole lot, but I mean, look, we know that we're fortunate to be able to travel the way we do, and even 2 weeks in Cascais to some would be a tremendous holiday, right? So we're blessed to be able to do that. But normally we would travel internationally during that time period, but we knew we couldn't doing the course.
Yeah.
But we also knew late September, we were heading to Southeast Asia for our big trip and to go to Nomad Capitalist Live.
Right. So as many of you know, we used to live in Singapore, and I kind of mentioned that before. So we were excited to go back because we hadn't visited Singapore since leaving in 2019. But then also we started the trip in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, for the conference. Josh's dad and stepmom met us out there. They had never been. Like when we lived there, they couldn't go because Josh's dad hadn't retired yet. But he retired and wanted to go to Australia. So we're like, hey, let's make this work. You go to Australia, meet us in Malaysia. We'll do some stuff there. You'll see Singapore, where we used to live. And then we could see old friends in Singapore, which was amazing. I got to see Trisha again, but then also like a lot of our local friends. We had a lot of local Singaporean friends. So it was so good to see them and have the kids get together and play and stuff because we're all kind of in the same stage of life. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, tons of fun. And, because we had just finished our language course, the shackles were off.
Yes, it felt so good. It was like we finished and then we left.
2 hours of our life back every day.
And then we also put out a video about Nomad Capitalist Live to just this past weekend.
Yeah.
That on the main channel.
Yeah.
Kind of give you a rundown of what that looks like.
Yeah. If you're interested in Nomad Capitalist Live or you want to do some hate watching, maybe check out the video. Some people do that. They do hate watching. It's weird. We get some weird comments on our regular channel. It's like, why do you watch this if you're so angry?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we put that in the video too, that like Nomad Capitalist and Andrew Henderson, he's polarizing, I guess. Or some people are just really
some
don't like
find
him.
us polarizing.
I guess so.
It's funny. Okay. So in October, after we got back, I actually had a chance meeting with Jackie from Kiwa Cafe because I was going to the job site to see how things were going. And I was walking back a different way. And I passed by this cafe that looked like really cute and different and new and Asian because I had just been to Asia and it's like,
wait a second,
familiar, but I'm in Portugal. Pop in there and I meet her and organize an interview with her, realize that she's friends with someone that we know in Morgan, who we've just had on the podcast. So putting all these things together, man, it's a small world.
Yep. So we had Jackie do an interview. That one came out not long ago either, about being an expat here, moving here, and then opening up a cafe. So that was interesting. It's a cute little cafe. It's different.
It's different.
So it's definitely worth a check.
Yeah. October 22nd to 23rd, I had a quick 24-hour trip to London.
Yeah, of course.
To go
for what, Josh?
To watch Arsenal.
Yeah.
And I did this with Tam. So Kalie didn't go. It was a midweek game. We got tickets through Arsenal Portugal, which it's really cool if you join. If you're a fan of like one of the English teams, major English teams, check to see if they have a supporters club in Portugal and you might have better ticket access. Yeah. We've had amazing ticket access.
And actually my parents were in town visiting at that point too, which is, funny. They're in, Josh is like, I'm leaving. No, but they're here. Hours. Yeah. But they're here. They come about twice a year anyway. Yeah. So
March, April, September, October.
They always crafted around the transatlantic cruises. So,
Foreshadow.
Yeah.
Okay. So then at the end of October 27th, we had a Halloween party at Scoundrels. So that was our first ticketed event, I think, of the year. We don't love to do ticketed events, but sometimes we have to just because of the venue or whatever's going on Like this one had food and drinks.
We needed to kind of have more of an idea of how many people were going to be there because the food was catered in rather than being at like a restaurant that you could just free order.
Exactly.
Free flow order, not free. But I will say this. Travis made an amazing pumpkin cocktail.
Yeah, you loved it.
It was so good. I was like, keep them coming. So that was.
And I was like,
cut her off. No, but I thought it was fun. We had like a little piñata for the kids. We had some games. So it was definitely a different type of meetup. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And, just a month ago, mid-November, this is probably fresh in your minds if you've been listening to this podcast or been watching our content. There was the World Cheese Awards that was held in Portugal for the first time ever. Probably the last time. Ever.
They made some mistakes.
It was in Viseu, and we had a nice visit there. We know we need to go back to make a proper city guide. Very cool city. And we kind of held like a little Patreon dinner. Yeah,
it might be a place if you're looking for a smaller town, smallish, not like big city, but smallish town with the amenities in Portugal. Then it could be for you. So we do need to make a video about it. But let me just the cheese. So it was a really cool experience. You're going to go on the cheese rant again? I'm just going to do this real quick. I think the funniest aspect was that there were some cheeses, mainly British, that got held up in like customs and didn't make it to the cheese awards. So there were a lot of angry people because of that. Because like the people were here, like they could get in, but then they're like, "Where's my cheese?" And they didn't pass it through customs fast enough to get to get voted on. I thought that so Portugal. That was one of the messed up things. But then the other thing is like on Sunday when there should have been more spots available to try the cheeses in the actual competition, like that past winners and past medalists. But they had to cancel a whole day, which was the day that we were supposed to go. You couldn't pre-book anything. You just had to go on the day and get the tours. Nonsense. And so people show up on Sunday, first thing in the morning, right when they open, because it's first come, first serve. And they're like, we're not doing any tours today. They're canceled because the judges aren't available. It was really bad. And I don't know if that's Portugal, though. I think that was probably just like the cheese awards. Could be. Yeah. I mean it's bad. You could be right. Yeah. But it's not a good look. However, we had a great time in the city. You could still try a lot of cheese as well. That was just a different aspect. I actually ate enough. I did. I ate enough and where I felt very happy and not like, oh, I'm over cheese for a week or something like that. Like when we did the pastel de nata challenge. I did not want to eat. You didn't even look at another pastel de nata. Yeah. Okay. So November 26th, we did like an overnight trip to Lisbon to see Arsenal versus Sporting. Can you tell what we spend our money on? We spend way too much money. We don't go to concerts. No. Yeah. I would say cost-wise, it's probably pretty similar in terms of like European matches. So for that match in particular, we actually got it through a friend of Tiago, my barber. And it was face value, which that's not common. Usually people selling their regular season ticket will ask for a premium on that. Yeah. So the price is on the ticket, so we know. Yeah, it was 40 euros. Which is like super affordable thinking about a sporting event. I mean, in the States, it's way more expensive. Well, we couldn't make one of our matches, which was Porto versus Manchester United, because we didn't get back from our Asia trip in time. And we just sold those for face value. Yeah. But that was, I thought, like 100 or something. 80, yeah. But it was face value. Yeah. We got nice seats at the Dragão. We do. Okay. So moving forward, after like a couple of days, actually, after we went to Lisbon, we did our trip to Toulouse, which was like 2 weeks ago. Yes. A week ago. And we've recorded a city guide that will go out on Expats Everywhere Explorers. We'll wait and put that out in January just because of holiday time. And we're taking a break from posting stuff because we know that you all are out spending time with family and traveling and then maybe researching little gadgets online, not looking where you should move. So we'll take a break coming up. Yeah, for sure. And we'll also have a podcast episode in season 4 where we talk a little more. We dive a little more into Toulouse with someone else, some friends of ours that also went to Toulouse. So yeah, and they're musicians, and Toulouse is known for its music scene. So let's see what they thought as being Americans and musicians. Exactly. Okay. So Christmas Eve, we head to London
to to see a football match.
Well, no, that was the plan, but then the game got moved, so we head out of London before
the day. Yeah, so typically in English football, they have Boxing Day matches, which it's not like you fight and a ball gets kicked around, but it's on the 26th, which is Boxing Day, so the day after Christmas. And typically, all of the fixtures have been on that day, but they've started to move some of the matches to different days, which ours is like one of two that ended up getting moved to the 27th. And the 27th, we fly to Belgium.
Yeah, and it was too much to change things around. Like, it would have been too much of a domino effect. So that's fine, though. We love London. We're actually, this time, we're staying in a really nice hotel. We like to do that on Christmas, stay at a nice hotel, soak up those amenities. It's in a good area as well where there'll be lights and Christmas markets. So we'll just do that for a couple days.
Yeah, and I would say this is part of what we've kind of done as expats. Like, living abroad in a variety of countries, we don't or haven't had the ability to be back in the U.S., and maybe in a way haven't had the desire to be back in the U.S., which is a typical time that you spend with family. Because we're not with family, as a small family, we spend it together in a different city or country to kind of explore that place. So
yeah. So then we'll be in London for a little bit, and then we head to Belgium. Josh and I have been. We will land in Brussels, but we've not been to Antwerp, so that'll be new for us. And it will be a new country for Sia. She's not been to Belgium yet. And we have not been back to Brussels in a really long time, so I'm excited to see how it's changed. Because a friend from Belgium was talking about how Brussels has changed. Some of the area that used to be where cars could go, they've made pedestrian only in their downtown, so I think it'll be really cool to see. She said it's really nice now. I'm
definitely looking forward to seeing what it's like and reporting back to you on it. And what I want to ask you is, do you know how many, I mean, as we finish up with 2024, do you know how many passport stamps that Valencia has before she's 5?
Well,
is she up to 25?
Yeah,
different countries
so
visited?
It wouldn't necessarily be stamps because
but you know
traveling
what I mean?
around the EU,
not stamps, but
countries she's been to.
Yeah.
It will be Belgium will be 25 before she turns 5.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Let us know if that's crazy. Now, obviously, I mean, she doesn't get to choose this life. So we're dragging her around the different places, but I
think we might let her start choosing places, though.
No, but let's will she? Okay.
Oh, will she want to? Yeah.
So we haven't really discussed our 2025 travel goals. However, we do already have something booked for Denmark and Sweden. So those will be 2 new countries for Valencia.
For Sia also.
Not for us. We're going there because we're visiting a friend of ours that just started working at a hotel outside of Helsingborg, which is a Swedish city that we've not visited. And he's a guy that we actually met on a cruise back in
2009.
2009. I was going to say 2011, but yeah, 2009.
No,
that's right.
No, 2011.
2011.
You're right, 2011.
Yeah.
It was, because we had just gotten married.
Yeah.
Remember? And, well, it was the year we got married.
Okay, yes.
2011.
So we've known this guy he was a bartender. And
on the cruise.
and we just befriended him. And his name's Victor. He's been on the channel years ago. And he's just an amazing dude. And we've stayed in touch.
We've seen him since. So last time we saw him, I was pregnant with Sia.
Yeah.
We saw him he met us in Stockholm, I think.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, he went across country for him and met us in Stockholm.
For us. Oh, it was across country for him, but he came for us.
From Helsingborg, it's across country. So, okay, that's kind of the travel goals, at least what we've set so far. We'll touch base with you in season 4 about other things that we have planned. But I did want to mention we are taking a cruise in the spring of 2025.
Yes. So it's back from the U.S., the transatlantic that will be coming from the U.S. We haven't actually booked our flight to the U.S. yet. No. We need to do that.
Yes.
But we'll see family and friends and then head back on that 2-week cruise. And that one,
Easter.
And that one, I think, it's Easter, and that one finishes up in Rome. So I think the plan is going to be, since we'll be in Rome, we're going to head to a different part of Italy we haven't been to, like the heel of the boot, Puglia. That's the plan.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Puglia.
See something else in Italy, because we've seen a lot of Italy, but not that part. So that's the plan for the spring.
Yep. And then we have something major that's going to happen in the summer or maybe fall of 2025, which is when we're eligible to apply for citizenship.
Yes. So we will
Don't
be
know what
updating
date it's going to be.
I know. Yeah. That's interpreted differently.
Yeah, the reason we say that is because there are different interpretations based on the way that the law is written. That
The new law
explained to us by a lawyer. It could be when we started our paperwork to try to move to Portugal. It could be when we were approved for our visa, or it could be the day we arrived, the day we set foot in Portugal. So it could be some date in June, it could be some date in August, or potentially October 15th.
That's the day we arrived.
Yeah. October 15th, 2020.
2020, yes. So we will be definitely updating you on that because we know that it's an interest for a lot of you all to get citizenship. And so we want to see what that current process is like because that's always changing. All the visa stuff and all the citizenship stuff is always changing. And how backed up they are is changing. So hopefully by the time we apply, they've gotten caught up and it's not a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right, real quick, the future of our channels. So we have Expats Everywhere, the main channel, where we're going to continue creating content about Portugal and what our life here looks like, and then also expanding into other European countries and maybe comparing more to Portugal. Expats Everywhere Explorers, we'll try to do city or country guides whenever we travel, creating content where, as you know us or get to know us better, you can kind of make a connection on how the things that we see apply to your style and your vibe. So that's what will happen on that channel. We hope to have more videos out on that channel in the coming year. We just got another part-time editor that we love, and I think we can give more videos to. We trust her. She gets things done on time. So that's good. And then the podcast, thank you so much for supporting this podcast, as we're now monetized, and that's going to allow us more financial stability to create better content. Mo better.
I wasn't going to say anything.
More content
and better.
Content. Mo better. We have some equipment coming in that it should arrive very soon, so we'll be set up for season 4. I just had a light go out because we don't have it plugged in. It means we're over time.
Time's up.
But yeah, so that's going to happen. And then we hope to get Let's Get Building with Josh and Kalie back online after we get that little thing resolved. And that'll be good.
Yep.
And last thing I want you to do is talk about the future of meetups.
Yes. So if you're not on our newsletter, that's the best way to find out about them. And then Josh, we post it on social media as well, but that's generally like a day or two before. But the newsletters will be ahead of time so that you can plan. Just, doing open meetups for you to come and go as you please, build community, meet people, network, whatever you want to do. It's a mix of expats and Portuguese, mainly expats, mainly English speaking expats. But we do get a variety of people that come, and I change the location. We're just finding something that works for, the time of year and the size. So if you're not on our newsletter, you can sign up through our website, or you can email me and I can get you on there. But yeah, we'll be doing meetups, it kind of just, we'll see how things ebb and flow, but I would say we'll have one around the beginning of February will be the next one.
Sounds great.
And that's it.
Yeah, we really appreciate you tuning in. And I just want to say thanks for sticking to the end, because this was a long one.
And we'll see you in 2025.
See you in 2025.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Now let's get moving.